I'm going to show you how a subwoofer amplifier works. Okay, so on this unit, we have multiple ways to get your sound into the subwoofer. These are not speaker outputs. These are actually a pass-through, so that if you had a regular amplifier, you would, instead of putting the wires directly to your speakers, you would go from the back of the amplifier to the in locations for right and left, and then on the out locations just continue it back up to the speaker. This unit is just intercepting the right and left amplified signals. Another way to do it is with an RCA cable input to right and left, and the LFE, as far as I can tell, is just, it boosts the bass of whatever signal is applied there. So let's now look at the components. We have two levels. They separated the functions based on the circuit board. So the top circuit board handles the inputs. These are op-amp chips. They are low power chips. This is one as well. And for each style of input, so the right and left speaker inputs get the voltage signal gets either increased, or in this case probably decreased, and on the line level in it gets probably boosted some. And then once this circuit board takes the inputs and transforms those voltages into something that the system is designed to work with, then that signal comes down here, and this is the power board. The power board is fed by a transformer, which then goes to a diode bridge rectifier to convert it to DC with some very large filter capacitors to remove the ripple voltage. From there, this is a little schematic that I drew of some of the main components. From there, you now have about a positive 40 volt and a negative 40 volt centered on this black wire, which is the center tap, and that's like the ground or the 0 volt. And then you have two transistors. You have an NPN transistor up here and a PNP down here, and they're matched to each other by the manufacturer to have very similar qualities in terms of their on-state resistance and thermal, how many amps they can handle, and their response to the bass input, how they respond whenever they're turned on and off. Very similar. And the idea is one transistor is turned on at a time. They're never both on because that would cause a short circuit. So I don't have the driver circuit working. The bases are not connected here on my schematic. But what the circuit would do is check to see if the incoming signal is a positive voltage. If it is, it turns on the top transistor. If it's a negative voltage, it turns on the bottom transistor. So as the input voltage goes up and down above 0 volts, it selects which transistor is on and reroutes it. That allows you to get that full swing, plus 40 to minus 40. And actually, since only one transistor is on at a time, you really, even though it's an 80 volt system approximately, at most you'll have like 40 volts through the speaker, and probably less than that because sound has a nature of variation and not being on all the time. So in conclusion, you have the input board, which converts inputs from the outside world into voltages that are standardized that can then get passed down to the amplifier board, which has driver circuits that ultimately go to these two PNP and NPN transistor pair. And all of that is powered by a large RC filter and diode bridge coming from that big transformer, which makes this thing so heavy.